सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ नारायणाय विद्महे वासुदेवाय धीमहि तन्नो विष्णुः प्रचोदयात्. So we were looking at the Narayana Sukta, and in that we have looked at the Narayana Sukta itself, which is a part of the Taittiriya Aranyaka. And then this particular mantra here, Ritagum Satyam Param Brahma Purusham Krishna Pingalam Urdhvaretam Virupaksham Vishwarupaya Vai Namo Namaha. This itself is coming as a separate one Anuvaka, or one portion. I can't say it's an Anuvaka, but it is a separate section or a chapter in the Taittiriya Aranyaka. Only one mantra is there. So the Narayana Sukta is chanted up to this, and then traditionally we are chanting this Vishnu Gayatri. Whenever we chant the Narayana Suktam, we chant this Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. So this particular mantra is called Vishnu Gayatri. Now, whenever we say Gayatri mantra, there is a particular mantra is there, the most popular as the Gayatri mantra, correct? So this Gayatri is given by the father to the son. All other mantras you can take from a guru, whoever gives you some diksha, mantra diksha. But Gayatri is given to you by your father. And there is a function also. There is a ceremony, we call it Upanayanam. Upanayanam means what? You are taking somebody near something, leading them towards something. Upanayanam. Nayati means to lead. Upa means near. You are leading somebody towards something, nearer to something. So, where are you leading your son? Means you are leading your son into the Brahmacharya ashrama to start with, because till the time of Upanayana, one is only a child. Then only you become a Kumara. Means you are entering the Brahmacharya ashrama, and so by entering the Brahmacharya ashrama, where are you going then? To what purpose this ashrama is taken? Means to study the Veda, to acquire knowledge in general. But for a Brahmana, it is to study the Veda, Veda Adhyayana. So you become qualified to do Veda Adhyayanam only if you are initiated into Gayatri. So the Gayatri mantra in general. That Gayatri mantra is actually addressed to the Devata. If you see the Devata, it is the Savita Devata. So actually, it is the Savitri mantra. So whenever we chant the Gayatri daily, when we do Sandhya Vandanam, we are supposed to do Gayatri Japa. In that Gayatri Japa, we chant so many times the Gayatri mantra. Before that, we actually remember the Rishi, the Chandas, and the Devata always. That is called Nyasa. So when we remember the Rishi, the name of the Rishi, we touch our head like this. Okay. Gayatriya Rishi Vishwamitraha. Because Vishwamitra Rishi is the one, he is the Rishi or is the one who to whom this Gayatri mantra was revealed. So you remember that Rishi by touching your head like this. Then just above your mouth, you remember the Chandas. Now the daily Gayatri mantra which we chant has only 23 syllables or aksharas. So it is called Nichrit Gayatri. So I will talk about that. So Nichrit Gayatri Chandaha. Okay. Then you touch your heart like this here and remember the Devata. So Savita Devata. Savita is the Devata. Savitri mantra it is. Tat Savitur Varenyam. Like that it starts. Now the Gayatri term itself actually refers to the Chandas or the meter. Correct? In English, prosody also they say Chandas Shastra. The study of meters is called prosody. In Sanskritam, that is also called Chandas. Chandas is one of the 6 Veda Angas. So if you are doing Veda Adhyanam, you are supposed to memorize the Vedas for 6 months. Then 6 months you are supposed to study other things, which will aid you to understand the Vedic, the Vedas better. They are called Veda Angas. That's why they are also part of the Veda Adhyanam. Nowadays, mostly those who study in the Veda Patashala, they first memorize the Veda. But some of them also study these Veda Angas also. So Shiksha, Kalpam, Niruktam, Chandas, Jyotisham. Like this, there are 6 Veda Angas are there. Vyakaranam also. So in that Chandas is one of the things, one of the Veda Anga. So when we talk about Chandas as the study of meters, then it is prosody. But Chandas also is the meter itself. Now there are many meters. In Tamil we say Yap Ilakkanam. Some of you you may be knowing. And in other Indian languages also there has to be some Shastra, correct? How this the poetry is structured and all that. In this, the Vedic Chandas, if you take, there are certain meters only are commonly used in the Vedas. Now, every day when you do the Sandhya Vandanam, even the Gayatri mantra we chant is supposed to represent the entire Veda. That is how we look at it. If you know Gayatri mantra, if you chant it, it is equivalent to chanting the entire Veda. That's how it is looked upon, at least. That's why it is the first mantra which is given as a Diksha by the father, and then the son is sent to study the Veda Adhyayana. Now, this mantra is in this Gayatri Chandas. That's why it is. But since this is the most popular Gayatri mantra, it is taken the generic name as its own name. Okay. See, in the world, we see that sometimes the specific becomes the generic. Okay. For example, copier. In India, copier is known as Xerox. Xerox is actually a brand. It is a company which made these copiers. But since they were the ones who first came into the market, maybe, and they are so widespread, all copiers are called Xerox machine or Xerox. You can see so many boards. But Xerox is actually a company name, correct? It is not a generic name. It's a specific name of a company, but the specific became generic. Similarly, JCB. Earth mover is called JCB in India. I don't know how it is in other places. Because JCB is again a company which is making those earth movers. Maybe they were the first to market their products in India. But some cases, the generic becomes the specific, or it is the specific itself is not that much remembered, because it is the thing. Whenever you say Gayatri, the Gayatri mantra is the Savitri mantra. But there are so many other, for each Devata, you have Gayatri mantra in that Chandas. So the Gayatri Chandas is supposed to have 24 matras or syllables, and each and then it is supposed to have 3 padas, we say. Pada means literally quarter, but here only 3 are there. 3 sections. 3 sections of 8 syllables make up the Gayatri Chandas. Within that also there are more rules are there. I don't want to go into that. There are Laghu, Guru, like that. Laghu and Guru. Which matra has to be a Laghu matra? Laghu means Praswa is Laghu. That means a short vowel or a single matra is a Laghu. Then Guru can be a longer vowel, or even compound syllables are all there, correct? Conjunct consonant with the vowel. They are also called Guru. Now, where the Guru syllable has to be there, where Laghu syllable has to be there also, there are rules are there for the Chandas. So, a meter where you have 3 sections, each section having 8 syllables, in general is called a Gayatri Chandas. So 24 syllables overall. And in the Veda, this Gayatri Chandas is used a lot. But later on, if you see, like Ramayana is there in another Chandas, Anushtup. Almost entire Ramayana is in Anushtup Chandas. Even almost most of the Mahabharata also is in Anushtup. In between, Trishtup Chandas also is there. Many Puranas also use Anushtup, Trishtup, some other Chandas. But Anushtup also is a very, very popular meter. Means it has 32 syllables. And again 4 padas of 8 syllables. That is the Anushtup. Trishtup is 44. 11 syllables in each pada. So 4 padas of 11 syllables is called Trishtup. So Gayatri, Anushtup and Trishtup are the most popular. In that, Anushtup I think has a lot, in particularly in later literature. But Gayatri, Anushtup and Trishtup are there. Gayatri is the next bigger Chandas in terms of how many verses are there, particularly in the Veda. So this Chandas itself has become the name of the mantra, even though the Devata is really Savitri Devata or Savita Devata, we have to say. Here, one more meaning also we give for Gayatri. They say Gayantam Trayate iti Gayatri. Like that also, one meaning is given. So Gayantam means literally those who sing, but here we have to take it as the one who does the japa. Correct? So the one who does the japa is protected by this mantra. Gayantam trayate. Trayate means protect or makes you cross over some difficulty. That is the Gayatri. So the Gayatri mantra is supposed to protect the one who chants that. That is another meaning. In fact, Gayatri, the word itself, has so many meanings. Gayatri is looked upon as a devata. Gayatri is the daughter of Surya Bhagavan, like that also. In Puranas, if you see, there are many stories are there associated with Gayatri. Or even the 7 chandas, the most popular chandas in the Veda, are considered to be the 7 rays of Surya Bhagavan. That way also it is looked upon. Or Gayatri itself is looked upon as a name of Durga or Uma. So this word, name Gayatri is again very popular because it is looked upon as a name of Devi, Bhagavati. This also is there. Now the 7 chandas which are most popular in the Veda, what are those? Gayatri, Ushnik, Anushtup. Okay, so Gayatri is 24, Ushnik is 28. Means 7 syllables of 4 padas is Ushnik. Then Anushtup, I told you, is very popular. 8 syllables of 4 padas. Anushtup. Then you have Brihati, Pankti, Krishtup, Jagati. Like this, 4 more are there. Brihati is 36. But 36 is actually divided differently. 8, 8, 12 and 8. Like that. Okay. Then Pankti is 40 syllables. Krishtup is 44 syllables. Jagati is 48 syllables. 12, 12, 12, 12. 12 syllables, 4 padas. Now, every day in Sandhya Vandanam, in fact, we remember all these 4 chandas because, as I told you, when you do the Sandhya Vandanam, it is like you are chanting the entire Veda. So, before the Gayatri mantra, we say Gayatri. In fact, Gayatriya Rishihi Vishwamitraha we say first. But then we also remember the Sapta Rishis. Okay. Then the Sapta Chandas and Sapta Devatas. Like this, also we do the Nyasa. In that we say Gayatri, Ushnik, Anushtup, Brihati, Pankti, Krishtup, Jagatyas, Chanda, Gumsi, Agni, Avayu, Arka, Vagisha, Varna, Indra, Vishwe, Devaha, Devataha, like that. We remember the 7 rishis, the 7 chandas and the 7 devata. So that is part of our daily Nitya Karma. So these 7 chandas are there, but there are so many more are there. If you come to classical Sanskrit, even Gayatri itself in Natya Shastra is defined differently. I came to know recently. In Natya Shastra, Gayatri is defined as 6 with 4 padas, 6 syllables in each section with 4 pada. Like that also there is. But the Vaidika Gayatri is 8 syllable with 3. But the everyday Gayatri we chant is called Nichrit Gayatri also. Okay, that is because Nichrit means some people translate it as defective, but I don't think that's a correct translation. Nichrit means modified, we can take. Okay, it is literally it means untie, loosen, and all that. Because the daily Gayatri we chant has only 23 syllables. Tatsavitur Varenyam. The first section itself has only 7 because Varenyam, if you chant, it is having only 7. But while doing the Gayatri Yajna, we don't chant it as Nichrit Gayatri, we chant it as Gayatri, 24 syllables. Then we have to chant Vareniyam. We have to introduce one E there, Vareniyam. Then it becomes 8 syllables. Tatsavitur Vareniyam, if you chant, it is 8 syllables. Tatsavitur Varenyam, if you chant, it is only 7. Since only 7, 8, 8 is only 23, that is called Nichrit Gayatri. Even for Narasimha, also there is a Gayatri. The Narasimha Gayatri actually has more. It has 26 syllables because Tanno Narasimha Prachodayat, like that. The Devata name is longer. So the last pada, it has 10 syllables. Like that, different Devata Gayatris have different syllables, but they are all still called Gayatri or Nichrit Gayatri. Each Rishi, whatever they have been revealed, they have taught it and it is coming in a parampara like that. We have to understand that, that's all. So here we have this Vishnu Gayatri. Excuse me. So Narayanaya Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi Tanno Vishnu Prachodayat. Actually, we have already seen another Gayatri also, correct? In the Ganesha Atharva Shirsha also, there is a Ganapati Gayatri is there. Tatpurushaya Vidmahe Vakratundaya Dhimahi. Correct? That is the Ganesha Gayatri. Tanno Danti Prachodayat there. Danti. So most of this Gayatri mantra end with this Prachodayat. And also this Tan Naha will be there. Very important here, we have to understand. So may that, then whoever it is, Vishnu, correct? Or Danti here is Ganesha. Tanno Rudra Prachodayat. Tatpurushaya Vidmahe Mahadevaya Dhimahi. That is the Shiva Gayatri. So in most of this Tan Naha, then the name will change. Prachodayat is there. So may that Devata, Prachodayat means what? So Prachodayat means may that Devata impel me. Like that you can have a meaning. That Devata only is the one who is there as Antaryami, who is there in me. And may that Devata actually guide me. Also you can take a meaning. If you look at it as a prayer, Prachodayat, may that Devata be there in my buddhi as my Antaryami, and may that Devata be the one who is making me do whatever I am doing, who is the guide, who is the one who is impelling me. Another interesting thing here is Naha. Naha is plural, it's not singular. May that Devata guide us, impel us, not me, it is us. Naha. That is why Gayatri Japa is not just a prayer for yourself. It is the prayer for the society itself. Okay, for everybody. It is a general prayer. The Brahmana is supposed to do that every day, because Brahmana should not only pray for oneself. As a Brahmana, you are praying for the entire community, the society in general. In fact, Shankaracharya in the Brihadaranyaka Bhashya says that Brahmanas are friends of everybody. They have to look after the welfare of everyone, really. So even this Gayatri mantra, Naha means may that Devata be the one who is guiding all of us in the form of our buddhi, whatever is happening in our mind, in our intellect. May this Devata be the force which is guiding our intellect. Now, why this prayer is very important? Whichever Gayatri you take, mostly it will be ending like this. Only the name of the Devata varies, as I told you. This is because you understand our life is nothing but a series of choices. As a Dharmika, as a Vaidika, certain choices are very easy. Even that is not very easy, but because if you are under the spell of your own likes and dislikes, the first choice you have to make is between right and wrong. And mostly we know in a particular situation what is right, what is wrong. In a given situation, even if you don't know what is right, wrong, you are supposed to know that. You are supposed to get it clarified. As a human being, you have that responsibility. So you cannot claim ignorance. I did not know what is right, so that's why I did this and all that. That argument will not pass even in the local court. Ignorance of law is not a defense anywhere. You are supposed to know what is right and wrong, and you know also. Mostly all of us know. That is what we say conscience. There is a certain common sense is there. All of us commonly sense what is right, what is wrong. That's what we say Bhagavan is manifest as this sense also. But in spite of knowing what is right and wrong, I can do the wrong thing because I have the free will. I have the choice with reference to action. I can do, I need not do, I can do it differently. And when I choose, again, whatever I do can be right or it can be wrong. Why do I do the wrong thing? I do the wrong thing because I am pressured by my own likes and dislikes. Fulfilling your own likes and dislikes is more important than what is right and wrong. For many people, it is like that. That is why likes and dislikes are called, Bhagavan says, they are your vairis, they are your enemies. Due to which you lose your wisdom. All the knowledge you have is not helping you. Because even though you know what is right, what is wrong, if you still do the wrong thing, means you don't have any freedom. Some people think that freedom means to do as they like. That is not real freedom. If you are doing the wrong thing knowingly, that means you are actually a slave of your own likes and dislikes. Your likes and dislikes are only pressuring you into that, even though it is a bad bargain again. Why? Because whenever you do something wrong, some drishtapala is there, obviously. Immediately you have some result, longing for that result, coveting that result only, you do that, whatever you are doing, even the wrong thing. But along with that, you also get other drishtapalam, means immediately experienced result or seen result. What is that? Fear. Because whenever you do something wrong, you have fear. What if somebody finds out? Guilt also is there because you are doing something wrong, knowingly you are doing it, correct? So fear and guilt also you are gaining immediately along with whatever else you gain. That's not a good thing. But our Shastra adds one more thing, Adrishta Phalam. That means whenever you do something wrong, you are also gaining an unseen result. Seen result is there immediately, as I told you. But unseen result also is accruing to your account. You are accumulating. Durita, it is called. Mama Upatta Samasta Durita Kshaya Dwara. Like that only we do the Sankalpa, correct? Whenever you are doing some puja, some yajna, why are you doing that? So that all the Durita which I have accumulated, the Papa, may it be Shaya, means may it be destroyed, you can say. May it go away, decay and destroy. So this Durita and Papa we are collecting. Whenever you do something wrong, you are collecting Papa. And what is the result of that? The Papa will fructify as unpleasant experience either in this life or hereafter. So doing wrong is a bad bargain, both Drishta Phalam and Adrishta Phalam. If you look at it, it is a bad bargain. Still you do. Why? Because you are a slave of your own likes and dislikes. You are not free enough to do the right thing. Real freedom is what? Real freedom is to be free enough to do the right thing in a given situation. That is the freedom. So now first choice is between right and wrong itself. Even for that prayer is required. Although it is a easy choice. In fact, it's not even a choice. You have to do the right thing. But since as human beings, we have our own likes and dislikes, doing the right thing itself is difficult for us. So first you have to make a choice between the right and wrong. But even there, so many, we have to make choices. First is to choose between right and wrong. But there are many situations where there are many right options are also there. That is another problem. Which one to choose? My Guruji always used to say, in India, you go to someone's house, they will ask you, okay, will you have coffee? If you say yes, they'll give you coffee, correct? Whatever filter coffee they make at home. Maybe nowadays they ask whether you want sugar or not, I think, depending on your age. Otherwise, they don't ask anything. They'll just make coffee and give it to you. You go to US, even simple coffee they won't give you just like that. There is some coffee, coffee with no caffeine, decaffeinated coffee, hazelnut coffee, all this other, some flavored coffees are there, vanilla coffee. I came to know of so many coffees only after going to US. I didn't have any idea that there were so many coffees in fact. And then how do you make coffee? You have to have separate decoction will be there. So first you have to choose the correct decoction. As I told you, so many varieties are there. Then to add to it also there is something, there is milk. There is something called half and half. I don't know what is this. Half and half is I think half milk, half cream. They say cream is that palade we say in Tamil. Correct? You collect that. That is the cream. So it will be thicker. This half and half. Or you can have even this powdered milk or so many options are there. Creamer, they call it non-dairy creamer and all is there nowadays. People do not want to have dairy. Some people are allergic, I think. Or some people are vegan, so they won't have milk. So there is a non-dairy creamer nowadays. Then sugar also, brown sugar, white sugar, and then this sugar-free kind of a things are there, correct? Artificial sweeteners. No, all these options are there. You have to choose and make your coffee. So initially when I went there, I didn't know what to choose. For many days, I was only trying out different permutations and combinations. And till the final day, could not work out what I really liked. At the end of the day, I think I never liked coffee at all in US because I could not work out which combination is good really. It became a confusion. Better to come back to India and have your filter coffee, whatever is made at home, or even our restaurants and hotels are good. So sometimes choice becomes a problem, maybe particularly if we are not used to that. Right? As children, we were not given too many choices. Nowadays, children are growing up with an ability to choose, maybe, or they want those choices also. We did not grow up like that. So choosing itself is a problem. So that is why prayer is so important, correct? Hey Bhagavan, may you be the one who impels me to make the right choice. That is the important thing here. You have to make me choose the correct, because our life itself is nothing but choices, choices, choices. If I had made a different choice, if I had gone to a different college, if I have taken a different job, everywhere choice was there, correct? There are many right options are there. Even amongst that, which one should I choose? Bhagavan only has to guide. That is the prayer. Not only me. Everybody has to make the right choices. Then only the society also will be having peace, will be functioning properly. So the prayer is collective there. Tannaha Vishnuhu prachodayat. No, Vishnu means what? We have seen that meaning. Vyapnoti iti Vishnuhu, the one who pervades everything is Vishnu. The word Vishnu, the Rudi Artha we say, correct? The generic, the meaning, without, if you don't go into all the derivation etymology, but Vishnu means Narayana. That is the meaning. But the word Vishnu is used for Ganapati also. Shuklam Bharadram Vishnu Shashivarnam Chaturbhujam. There the etymology is important. There Ganapati also we look upon as the one who pervades everything. All pervading meaning is there for Vishnu. Vyapnoti iti Vishnuhu. That's why we say. Here Vishnu is Narayana because obviously Narayana also is there, correct? Narayanaya Vidmahe. So Narayanaya Vidmahe means what? May we do Upasana and on Narayana, because this whole Narayana Sutta is about Narayana being the Upasya, the one on whom we do the meditation. And I am doing the Upasana on Narayana. And Narayana's characteristics only we saw. Narayana was presented in a certain way, and then finally you were said that you have to do Upasana of this Narayana who is glowing as a fire in your heart. That is the Upasana you are supposed to. So may we do Upasana. Vidmahe, Vidya also comes in the meaning of knowledge and also Upasana. Vidmahe means may we know Narayana also you can take. Or may we do Upasana on Narayana. Vidmahe Vasudevaya Dhimahi. May we meditate upon Vasudeva. So Vasudeva again, you can give different meanings to the word Vasudeva. Vasudevasya apatyam iti Vasudevaha. If you take it as a Tadhita word, Vasudeva and his children are called Vasudeva. Krishna is called Vasudeva because Vasudeva was his foster father. Vasudevasya apatyam iti Vasudevaha. So Vasudeva was the great Yadava who himself was the son of Shurasena, and his son is Krishna. That's how he grew up at least. Or Vasudeva, like that, you can take it separately also. Deva means one who is effulgent, bright. Vasu means one who is again manifest as this entire Jagat, one who is there everywhere. So may we meditate upon this Vasudeva, may we do Upasana on this Narayana. So whenever we do this Upasana, prayer, there has to be a result. What is that? That's what we already saw. So that what? May this Narayana only guide me, impel my buddhi to make the right choices in my life. So that is the prayer. If you look at it as a prayer, this Gayatri mantra, all Gayatri mantras are similar. Only these words will vary, like Narayana, Vasudeva. The particular Devata Nama, Tatpurushaya Vidmahe, Vakratundaya Dhimahi. Vakratunda is specific to Ganapati, Ganesha. Then Tanno Dantif Prachodayat also. Dantihi also is specific to Ganesha. So the Nama which are used will be for that Devata. So if you have got Diksha of a particular Gayatri mantra, of a particular Devata, then that Devata, let that Devata guide me to make the right choices. That Devata only is shining as the awareness, as the consciousness in my buddhi, and in that presence only everything is happening. Therefore, as the Antaryami, the one who is sitting within me and making me do things, may that Devata help me in making the right choices, guide me. That is the prayer. Not only me, as I told you, guide all of us. Tannaha. Another way, as a Vedanta student, how do you look at the Gayatri mantra? Gayatri mantra is Nididhyasanam. When you do Gayatri Japa, it is not just a prayer, it is also revealing to you the truth about yourself. So, there, Vidmahe means may I know, you can take the meaning. May I know the Swarupa of Narayana. May I do meditation on Vasudeva. May I dwell upon the Swarupa of Vasudeva as Narayana, the one who is pervading everything, one who is the reality of everything, one who is Ananta, limitless, and that limitless consciousness alone is also the consciousness which is lighting my own body, mind, sense complex. My body, this body is aware, is sentient. How? Because that same consciousness is manifest here. That consciousness only makes my organs, sense organs, have the capability to reveal different things. The eyes are revealing to me color and shape. Ears are revealing to me sound. Nose is revealing to me smell. Tongue is revealing to me taste. Skin is again revealing to me all kind of touch and sensations. All these organs are functioning only because of this consciousness. My mind is active, again aware, only because of the manifestation of this consciousness. In fact, I, whatever I say, I is only this conscious being. All others are all only objects of knowledge. Whatever I know is not I. Whatever I know, all that is only objects. This objective world itself is only functioning in the presence of this consciousness, which is limitless, which is not separate from I. I am that conscious being. Who is this limitless reality? That is what this all Gayatri mantras are again revealing that only. That Devata who is all pervasive, the Swarupa of that Devata, the nature, the reality of that Devata is not separate from the reality of myself. Both are one and the same. There is only one reality. By mistake, we are taking that reality to be some embodied conscious being which is limited. But that is ignorance. What is the actual reality? It is that I am this limitless conscious being in whom this entire world, this space-time is. That is the reality. So that is also revealed by this Gayatri mantra. All Gayatri mantras are nothing but Mahavakya only. They are all equations. Because this same Narayana, who is all pervasive, who is effulgent, that same Narayana, who is Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, is the one who is also shining in my mind, in my intellect. In fact, it is the same reality which I say I as I. So it's a Mahavakya here. The first two padas are revealing the Tatpada, you can say. Even the famous Gayatri mantra starts as Tat Savitur Varenyam. It starts with Tat. Then Dhiyo Yonah Prachodayat is there. Naha Dhiyaha Prachodayat. It is the same reality which is also there as the Antaryami, the one who is there as the Dehi, the indweller of the body. The Dehi is not separate from this limitless conscious being. This Dehi is Nityam, cannot be destroyed, because only that which can be objectified can be destroyed. Only that which is in space-time can be destroyed. But your reality is that space-time is in you. You are not in space-time. You are never an object. You are always the subject. In fact, you are not even the subject, because subject status also is dependent on an object. So you are the basis for the subject-object division itself. That is the reality. So the Gayatri mantra is both a prayer for the brahmachari, particularly for brahmachari and grihastha. It is a prayer so that they make the right choices in their life. But for a mumukshu, for a Vedantin, the same thing is a nididhyasanam, because it reveals the reality. It's a Mahavakya. Every day you have to dwell on that teaching. While chanting only, the Mahavakya is recollected. You dwell on that every day. So like that, Gayatri mantra is looked upon as the essence of the entire Veda. That's why as soon as you are given the Diksha of Gayatri, it is as though that you have learned the entire Veda itself. It is so potent, so important. So with this, we have completed this Narayana Sukta. Next we will take up, I will announce that. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.